The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast podcast. This is season 3, episode 6, and I'm Julia.
And I'm Elaine.
And Elaine, I'm a bit concerned because you've titled this episode The F Word. Now, I hope you're going to behave.
It was not me.
To be fair, I'll take the blame for that one. I was trying to come up with a nice punchy title.
Right.
Because all I get is S3E6, and I go, well, what on earth can I call this?
Right. And you decided this was the F word.
Yeah.
Now, that could automatically have people turning off already because they think we're going to be swearing. Oh, F for flowers. That's good, Gareth. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay. Since you've
I'm considering myself in my place now. I'm just going to go over there.
Julia has spoken.
Since you've redeemed yourself, we do like people to get in contact with us, and we have had a few people get in contact. But Gareth, this is your opportunity. Tell people how they can get in contact, please.
So, if you've got any questions, you can get in touch via Facebook and Instagram at Potty Plotters. You can email us naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk or check out the website pottyplotters.uk. And if you'd like to support us to maintain Julia's habit of extending the chip shop, then you can go to ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters and leave us a little tip, and we'll use it to buy coal frames and things for the chippy. That's ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters, and we'll love you forever. And you'll get a shout out.
We will indeed. Well, what I just want to refer
So I
back
alluded to it.
Yes, you did. You alluded to the extension of the chip shop, as you mentioned previously.
Branching out now, we're doing Chinese food as well.
Yeah, I think you'll probably put some pictures of it on our social media, Gareth. But what I want to say is, I said to Elaine last week, what I could do with is another one of them lovely coal frames that I picked up for a bargain price. And then lo and behold, on that marketplace, another one popped
just before
up.
we started recording, we were talking about the fact that I've been told at work to use artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Were you doing it in front of like your computer? Did you go, I could do it with a cold frame?
No, I didn't.
Because you know Facebook listens.
We know that, but I'll tell you what, no, I didn't, because actually this isn't classed as a cold frame, it's classed as a grow house. And
well, it's quite big.
It's massive. It's
like 2-storey.
It's a 2-storey version of the other one. They're made by a company called Access, and they are absolutely fantastic. They are shatterproof glass. Even on the video that they do a demonstration with, there's a man with a cricket ball throwing at it at the glass.
I wouldn't recommend it.
No, I'm not going to try it. I absolutely love it.
It's fantastic.
I got it for a bargain price, Gareth.
And it's got a little window on the side that's open.
It's got an auto vent on the side.
Auto vent?
An auto vent on the side. I am very happy with that. So
what's next?
So yeah, we'll be doing sausages in that one, and anything else we can think of. No, it's absolutely rammed now with plants. And if I can put my hands on another one at that price, I definitely won't be saying no.
I think what you need now is a little outlet to sell the stuff in, because at the rate you're growing stuff,
yes,
you'll be competing with the well-known supermarkets.
Well, we do love growing plants, and we have promised quite a few local plant sales and communities that we will grow
plants as well.
Yes,
I'll give you my list.
Yeah, and of course we've got plants growing in there.
So what have you got?
Well, we've got tomatoes on the top shelves. I've got some scabious. I've got some gypsophila.
You can get some cream for that from the doctors these days.
I've got some lettuce, I've got cauliflowers, I've got onions. There's all kinds of things growing in there and in the other one that will be either used on this allotment or it will be passed on to other allotments. And now we've got your list of everything that you want, Gareth. We'll make sure that some of them have got your name on them.
Ooh, lovely.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Elaine, we've had people getting in contact, haven't we?
Amazing.
Who's been in contact?
She doesn't know she's got to read this bit.
I have got to read it because I can't remember everything on this one. But we've actually heard from our youngest listener, and Meg and Bonnie have actually sent a beautiful photo.
Oh, have we got any older listeners yet? Because we at the same time we said we wanted to know who the oldest person was.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
How did Bonnie do it when she's only 6 months old? That's clever, isn't she?
Dead clever.
I think you'll find it might have been her mum that did it.
Okay,
just saying. And then Sarah Parkin has been in touch as well, and she says, I've just been listening to your last year's Plotcast, and I have gone too early, it seems, with my squashes and yellow courgettes. The seeds are now plants and growing rapidly, including one with 2 plants in it. Interesting. I am growing on a small windowsill at the moment with heat pads underneath. What should I do next?
Right, first of all, what I'm going to say is turn that heat pad off. Turn the heat pad off. You're making everything go far too quickly. I mean, it is possible to be fooled at the moment. We are having some glorious weather. Thank goodness for that. We're not complaining. It's glorious.
When this goes out at Easter. So happy Easter, everybody, and happy Easter egg hunting. And obviously, Easter's a bank holiday. So what would it traditionally be doing? Let's check the Happy app.
Yeah, we're not planning for any rain, but we have gone a little bit early on those, Sarah. So turn the heat pad off to actually slow the growth down a little bit. And if you're growing in the window, just keep turning those plants. If necessary, you're going to have to pot them on into a bigger plant pot. That's what I would say. And if you are going to plant them on into bigger plant pots, separate the one that's got two plants in, because they'll not be very happy together. They want their own room to grow. So
think of it like brothers and sisters.
Yes, give them their own bedroom. Give them their own bedroom to be happy in, and just slow it down a bit. Now, what you could be doing is preparing yourself for them going out. So have a look round for some big clear domes. So, I mean, what I've used in the past are big pop bottles or water bottles, maybe 5 litre bottles, so that when you do put them outside, you've got something to actually cover them with and almost create a little mini dome for them to protect
mini cold
them.
Frame.
Mini cold frame, because it's still, whilst it's lovely during the day, it is still very cold at night time. Yeah. And, you know, if you were to put those courgette plants out now and those squashers, they would be dead because it's too cold. They would just shrivel at night time.
It's just completely the wrong time of year, isn't it? I mean, we wouldn't even be starting ours until May.
No.
So if
it's been quite deceptive with the weather. I think.
It has,
we've had basically about 2 weeks, I think, now of very nice weather, very bright.
Yeah.
And it's getting progressively warmer during the day, but at night time, you go out at night and it is really cold.
It is.
We've still got the double duvet on. I mean, that's how cold it is.
And it's deceptive, and it is really difficult to slow people down, because, you know, even we're chomping at the bit, but we know that it could turn overnight.
And you've got your chip shop anyway, so you're fine.
But still be very cautious about what you're putting outside. And actually what I would do as a backup plan is set myself a couple more seeds, because it could potentially all change. And what's the worst that you've got? You've got a couple of spare plants that will come on later on in the season, or if you've not got the room, pass them on to somebody who does need them.
Definitely. Okie dokie then. Right then, also, she goes on to say,
my she doesn't want much, does she?
Pardon?
She doesn't want much. No.
She's getting a pound's worth here,
She's getting all of that bites in one go.
Also, my neighbour has shared some melon seedlings, which I can take to another neighbour's greenhouse where they'll get less attention. How do I look after these at home before taking, say, for instance, over her greenhouse, I reckon, in June? But how do you actually sort them all out?
Right, well, melons we're going to talk about in more detail on the next episode, Elaine, in 2 weeks. But what I would say again is take them off that heat mat, if they're on the heat mat, and just try to slow the growth down a little bit at this stage, because again, it's still too cold really to be abandoning them in a greenhouse far away, because you would need to protect them at night. So just try and slow them down in your house.
What do you think about potting them on, Julia?
Definitely. I'd pot them on a little bit if they are root bound. If they're individually in the pots, I'd leave them in those and just keep checking on the root growth of them and then pot them on.
Now, when you say you're checking on the root growth, what does that mean and how do you do it?
Right, so what I would be doing is I'd be turning the plant upside down, putting my fingers across the top of the plant and supporting the stem in between the crook of my fingers, and then just turning it upside down to lift the plant pot off, and then I'd have a look at the roots. And if they're, not kind of taking the shape of the plant pot and touching the sides, I would just leave them for a bit longer. If not, then I would pot them on into a bigger pot.
And often, even when you tip them upside down, you can see the roots coming through.
Absolutely, you can, yeah.
How did you first discover that? Melon is quite a fruit that you associate with hotter countries. How did you first discover that you could get away with growing melons in this country? Because it's not something that I'd have thought about.
I think I just saw them in the seed catalogue, and I'd read that they were suited to UK growing conditions, and I thought, because I had a polytunnel at the time, I thought, well, let's give it a go, because like you say, a lot of people think you can't grow them in this country.
Well, you never see them in the supermarket with the origin of this country either, do you? It's always like your Spanish and other sort of hotter climates.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something, as we've sort of been talking about a long time, that as people want to start growing their own to not have to pay for the high in prices, especially with stuff going up in price, actually it's maybe time to start thinking about those sort of things you didn't think you associate with this country, and actually start thinking about doing
I
that.
agree with you, and actually I saw I think it was Rob Smith the other day.
Lovely Rob,
who we've spoken to, and I think he was at a vineyard in Derbyshire. No, but that's something you wouldn't associate with, certainly in
not
this
far,
area of
not
the
this
country.
far north. You'd associate it possibly with like down south, but not sort of where you need your inoculations and your passport for Gap. You probably wouldn't associate it, would you?
Yeah.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
I notice you want to tell people about your dahlias and your cat litter experiment, Elaine.
I do, yeah. Well, we talked about it before when we did the grand reveal, but that was back on episode 3. So what I wanted to say was that, yes, I'm still gloating, obviously, because I was so happy, and we are telling people all about it, that you don't have to go to any unnecessary expense. But what we did was, if you recall, was that over winter we dried 17 tubers, dahlia tubers, in cat litter, and then I took it home and left them in the cool of the back bedroom next to the ironing board, because then he'd never even noticed, and he hasn't. That was interesting. And then 4 months later, bring them back up here. Magic fairy.
Okay.
You know that people believe in allotment fairies. He believes in a house fairy.
Okay.
That's me.
It's a big one.
So brought it back up here, and then we noticed, having taken out all 17, 15 of them had already started to shoot, and they'd shown signs of growth. So what I did was I potted them. So since we've seen you, I've potted them all on, and that means just putting them into a tight fitting plant pot. So
like these jeans are for me right now.
They're not too big. The tubers themselves need to touch the sides, really, of your plant pot. You don't need loads of stuff, so it's just about bringing it all on.
So you're looking at about a 6-inch diameter pot, really.
Some of them are a lot bigger, actually. Here's one I grew earlier.
That's the one I was looking at. So that's about a 6-inch diameter,
I mean, it's quite interesting when you get dahlia tubers when you've ordered them, because some of them are almost, you only get the size of a tennis ball, and then others you get a great big clump, and it's almost the size of a football.
So I am really impressed with that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gareth. Well, I'll take you into my greenhouse later, because everybody, honestly, they have gone crazy with growing. Julia's been a bit bonkers, and she's been zipping in and out taking cuttings, which is another episode altogether. But if you have a look there, Gareth, you can see that it's shooting up. It's probably about 4 inches high now, and looks so healthy. There's no damage on it whatsoever, and it's definitely shooting from all angles. Now then, Gareth, I want you to touch this. I want you to do the firmness test.
That is firm.
The whole pot is, because it's full of dahlia.
Yeah.
So I know now that the whole thing is going crazy in there, and it's very happy. So, in truth, it shouldn't be long before I can put it out.
How long do you reckon?
Well, normally I wouldn't put them out until the end of May, but I think these are going to go out in the next fortnight if this weather stays. So as long as we don't get too many frosts, but as Julia said, if we can think of different ways to combat the cold overnight, it'll be fine, because I've been on my hands and knees, as you caught me today, and the soil is warm. So how long that lasts
that's quite
for,
good as well,
I don't
because
know.
we've talked about it being cold nights. And you'd expect it to be quite cool still, even at this point of the day, because and we record this about lunchtime, because the sun hasn't reached its maximum strength yet. And we're talking sort of, I think, last few days it's sort of been mid-afternoon when we've kind of been getting the really high temperatures, or the higher than average temperatures. But it's been dropping really back quite quickly. Sort of after sunset, you've really noticed it.
And what I would say, Gareth, is, well, I tell you what, it was a little fun experiment that has not only worked, but it's been ultra successful. So, you know, if you want to come in with us, it'll only cost you about £1,000, but look at the rewards. This time next year we'll be millionaires.
She's ordered 72 tonne of it, Gareth. I don't know where we're going to store it.
I mean, apologies to anybody who's not doing dahlias that needs cat litter, because there's now none left on the marketplace. We did warn her about this, that if she artificially inflates the price of cat litter, that she's going to have people's cats coming and digging her garden up.
Yeah. But actually, Gareth, we've come up with a cunning plan as well, because of course everybody will be then just going for the cat litter. So we are going to market it differently, and we're going to call it...
Are you going to do it as a kit?
Yes, we're going
to supply the box, the litter.
Yeah, and we're going to call it Dahlia Protection Granules or something like that. Yeah.
If anybody else, I was going to say, if somebody else can come up with a good name for it, do it.
Is there anything else? So you talked about the dahlia tubers in there. Is there anything else that you could do in cat litter over winter to kind of spark?
Well, we don't know,
off?
but I mean, it was just an experiment. Now we know it works. Then this next year we'll have another go with other stuff. But what I will say is that then we've taken the dahlias out, as I said, potted them on, and now we've put the cat litter into another bag so that we can use it again, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's non-clumping variety. It ain't like a lump of concrete as it could have been, but it's not. So I'll be using that again this next year. See what? But Gareth, it's so cheap and it's a success. That's the thing. So you are retaining all of your dahlias. So have a go.
You're a genius.
Thanks, love.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can leave us a tip at ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters. That's ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters. And we'll love you forever.
So, Elaine, this episode we are talking all about flowers.
It's the F word.
Yes, it is the F word. And we are going to be talking to Caroline, who's a flower farmer way up there in Scotland. And so I'm sure that she has to contend with lots of bad weather conditions and cold weather conditions.
Although, to be fair, they're sort of getting some of the better weather. I've been seeing like the forecast on the TV. They're getting some of the higher temperatures in that area of Scotland at the minute.
It'd be interesting to see what effect that has on her flowers.
Yeah, well, and of course we love our flowers, and that's why we wanted to talk to Caroline and understand how she manages the conditions as well that we have to face. And you've already set some of your flowers, haven't you? I can see you've got trays of flowers already coming on.
I have at the side of me.
What
my
are they?
Recycled square boxes.
Polar Express.
Polar Express.
Polar bear.
And it's a zinnia, and these have taken 3 weeks to get to this stage, and so they've come through the cold weather, and now they're loving this warm weather.
A zinnia is quite slow to start off.
Well, generally speaking,
because they look quite for 3 weeks. They look well, but they look quite small.
Yeah,
I'd have expected after 3 weeks to be bigger, but the zinnia is quite a slow starter.
Well, I don't know really. I've never had any problem with them, but I've not. These actually, Gareth, we've kept in the tangerinery, so we haven't.
Like an orange tree, but smaller.
Yes, and I've not rushed with them, and I've deliberately done it slower. Normally, I take them home, put them in the conservatory where it's warm, and then they get going faster, but these have been slower, but I'm happy about that because they look healthy plants. And now what I'm going to do is, having done them like this, which is probably about 30 plants altogether in a little seed tray, I'm now going to individualise them, and then I'm going to put them into cell trays of 6. And 2 reasons. I think then they'll get going because they'll be happy in their own little bed. But the other thing is we're growing a lot of them, aren't we, for different charities, different events that we're going to, so that people can make money. So, yeah, they look really well. Happy with those.
Yeah.
It will be some time before they go out onto the plot, though.
You see, you've already planted some of your zinnias, but I've got zinnias.
I've got lots of packets
here.
Pick a packet, any packet.
Yeah, any packet. I've got loads of
them.
varieties, and I haven't set mine yet. I thought it was a little bit early with you planting yours, and so I'm going to plant these probably today or tomorrow, and I think they'll get going a lot quicker than yours because, of course, the weather it's warmer, the days are longer. Of course, we've passed the clocks going forward, so I think these will get going much quicker than Elaine's. But we love zinnias. There's so many different varieties to choose from. They make a beautiful cut flower.
But let's describe what they look like then, because mine, I like the taller variety. They grow to about 2 foot, something like that. Gareth is now going to describe what they look like from the picture.
So I'm not a zinnia expert, but Zinderella, lilac, looks a bit like a cross between, I'd go, a daisy and a pom-pom. flower.
Yeah, that's nice.
okay.
Yeah.
So do you think I painted a pretty enough picture there?
Yeah, and they are lovely flowers. And as Julia said, a
Can you
beautiful
put some on the list,
pot
please?
flower.
Can you put it on the list?
Okay.
Okay, and you can grow them in containers. We grow them in raised beds. We grow them in the ground as well of the allotment, and we generally put quite a clump of them together, don't we?
And I'm going to do a little experiment, Elaine. You know, we like a little
Wow.
experiment. And
Does this involve cat litter as well?
No, it doesn't involve anything other than planting some of these directly in the soil. Because I was
Okay.
reading that they don't like their roots to be disturbed too much.
Okay.
So I'm going to plant some in the tray, just like you've done.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to set some in the ground, and I'm just going to cover it with a bit of fleece to protect it while they're growing, and see how they actually get on. Because we have had issues with zinnias in the past, haven't we?
Yeah, as they've sort of almost reached their height, some of them have started to die from the bottom upwards, the bottom of the stalk. But what I do want to say though, Julia, is the opposite, is that how positive we are about them. And that's simply because they are a beautiful flower. They're easy to grow. The fact that we're talking about them on the podcast is because they're so simple, and yet they are absolutely stunning. When people walk by and they see all the different colours, they love them, don't they?
So can I start some off instead of me starting them off in, say, the cell tray or the seed tray, I could decide on the pot that I want them to be in, and start them straight off in there.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. What I would do is I'd just put a cover over them just to protect them, because I don't know whether the mice or anything like
We
that.
don't have any mice anymore because the cat has had them all.
Cat.
So the cat has had the family of mice in the last week.
Oh, well done, cat.
No, it's not. They're not. No, they're field mice. So they're not. They were living under the bench. So she decided that she wanted 2 of them, and there's now none left.
Oh, that's it then.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Okay. Well, on that sad note.
R.I.P. mice.
You've also commented that we're going to set marigolds. That's just a quick one, isn't it? We're going to plant marigolds because they are, not only are they jolly around the plot, but also they do a very important job, don't they?
Deal with the pests.
They do, they do deal with the pests. I mean, there's a peculiar smell, I always think, to marigolds, but they do what they are meant to do, which is great. And they are so simple, again, to grow. I don't understand now. I know how, I mean, I've been doing them for donkey's years, but I don't understand why anybody even wants to buy them as 6s, 9s, 12s, whatever, because they're so simple to grow. And now is the time to be doing them.
Yep.
So all that you do is you get your little your seed tray like that, Gareth, fill it up to the top virtually with multi-purpose compost, and then each inch, that's how I do them. I just put a seed, which are around, quarter of an inch, aren't they, in length, and just pop one every half inch on the top, and then cover them again with just a smattering of multi-purpose compost, water them, and then leave them and see what happens. They come up in no time at all.
Do they need a nice warm place as well?
Well, I tend to, because I think it's like all of us, we do thrive better in the warm than in the cold, so just keep them. However, we have done them in the greenhouse for years, haven't we?
We
No
pop them in the
problem.
greenhouse, and they grow really well. So you've got your little greenhouse, set yourself a tray of them, and they'll look lovely, but they'll also be very positive, keeping the pests away and also attracting the pollinators.
Dead good brilliant bits. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
Now, Elaine, brilliant bit. You've got a brilliant bit, have you?
I've got a dead good brilliant bit.
When I saw this, do either of you remember the Fast Show?
Yeah.
And Ron Manager? Jumpers for goalposts.
No.
Ron Manager was the. They basically took all the bits of football presentation and comments.
Oh, yeah.
Where he used to do. They basically used to try and do a bit of a Jimmy Hill impression, I suppose. And then he'd end with like jumpers for goalposts. And I saw this and went, what on earth is she on?
Well, Gareth, we've been doing our hanging baskets, and if you look to your right,
in
over there in the polytunnel, you'll see that we've started hanging baskets, and because we've started them, Julia's now hung them, so they are protected from the wind and certainly on the nighttime cold. And what we've done at the bottom of them is we've chopped up an old jumper that my husband shrank in the wash.
Your husband didn't know he'd not got any more.
He didn't know, but I've chopped it all up and I've put it in the bottom of the hanging basket. It's
Can I
wool.
go back a couple of steps? What was he doing the washing?
Exactly. And that's what went wrong, because he was touching something he should not have touched.
The washing machine.
Exactly. It's my domain. Get off it. But he's successfully shrunk a jumper. So
Was it his favourite jumper?
No, it was my favourite jumper, yes. And then
So he's bought you a new one?
Well, no, he hasn't, but it was quite funny because it was a bit like, you know, when dogs have done something naughty when you get home and they look at you, don't they, as if to say, if I could talk, I'd tell you, and I'd apologise. Well, he did, but he didn't apologise. He just said, I've done something, and I thought, oh no.
Now you've got to work out what it's
It is like, it's a guessing game. Anyway, so
your old
chopped
jumpers
up
in
the
there.
jumper, chopped it all up, put it in the bottom, and the good thing is, because the wool, it actually retains the moisture, it doesn't interfere at all or cause a problem with the roots of the plants that we've planted, and then I've put multi-purpose compost on the top. That's it, and they look amazing, Julia.
They do.
What's
They
in
look
there?
Very happy.
Well, funny you should mention that.
Oh, you've got
What's
that
in
listed
there?
for
Yes,
Well,
I
why don't we-
certainly have.
Why don't we move it around?
Yeah. Well, these are a dwarf variety of sweet peas.
Oh,
that
those are the ones that
called,
we've been talking about.
Yes, and they're called Pink Cupid. And
Or Cupid Pink.
honestly, they look lovely.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit excited as to what they might
You are.
turn out like.
And we did have a bargain, didn't we, Elaine?
Yeah, we did.
We went on Marketplace again, and we found loads of hanging baskets. And
Yeah.
so we thought, actually, the groups that were helping with the plant sales, we could add real value for them by making up hanging baskets, beautiful hanging baskets. So we're doing the sweet peas, and we're also doing some tomatoes in hanging baskets for them as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, we are so excited to see what happens with the Pink Cupid. But again, you say no pinching out, no staking, no faffing.
No, nothing, no.
So nice and easy.
Yeah.
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
Well, I'm really excited, Elaine, because I know that I've mentioned this a few times on
Your medal? You're going to mention your medal, your championship medal that you got way back in February. No, we're not going to mention
Let's
that again.
move away from the medal.
Okay, then.
But let's talk to Catherine Duncan. Now, Catherine, I don't know if you remember, many, many times I keep mentioning I've been watching YouTube.
In fact, I'm concerned that you were stalking her.
No, I'm not. But she has been my go-to YouTube expert on flowers, on growing flowers. And I go to her because she lives up in Scotland. And I think if anyone's going to experience conditions similar to us or even worse, it's Catherine, and she knows what she's talking about. So welcome, Catherine, to our podcast. We're really happy that you've been able to join us. Tell us where you are in Scotland, Catherine.
So I am in Peebles, which is just south of Edinburgh. It's about half an hour south of Edinburgh in the Scottish borders. And I'm in a little town, so I grow my flowers in the town, which is quite unusual. I've got quite a large garden there, and you can just walk 5 minutes to the high street. So it's very nice. It's a bit wild tonight. It's very wild. I can hear the wind wheeking around the house, and we get a lot of rain.
Yeah, that's Scotland.
Yeah,
that's what I
and that's
remember.
why I thought, well, she knows what she's doing, because, I mean, we experience bad conditions sometimes, but nothing quite the same level as you. So you have been my go-to person to watch. But what I'm curious about is, you've obviously got a big garden. Did the big garden come first, or did the flower farming come first? Did you buy the property with that in mind, really?
No, the house came first. We'd lived in the town for a while, and this house came up on the market and had this big garden, and we just kept walking past it and thinking, wouldn't that be a great place for our girls to grow up? They were tiny at the time. They could climb trees, they could have adventures and lose themselves in there while still being in the town. So the flowers did come after. I hadn't even thought about it then. I just had a baby. So I was in that world of babies and toddlers.
And you just decided to go for it. How very brave of you.
Well, we kind of moved in January to this house, and I love flowers. When you move into a new house, you kind of have to sit for a while and wait and see what it does. And as the summer months went on, there was just no flowers in the garden. It was lovely, but it had trees and shrubs and conifers and lots of greenery and no flowers. And I'd grown up loving flowers. My mom and my granny, they pottered around in the garden growing lovely roses and things. And this was my shot at being able to do it too. So I decided that I would have a shot at it. no experience whatsoever. Didn't know what I was doing.
It's just not normal, sorry. Well, it's not, is it? There are not very many people in this day and age who buy a house and think, well, I've got a whacking garden, I'm going to grow loads of flowers. You just don't hear that.
No, well, I kind of was spurred on as well because at the time they had this program out on the television and it was the Great British Garden Revival. And I remember Rachel de Tem was talking about the British flower industry and how it had just gone over the years because florists were now getting all these imports and they could get any kind of flower at any time of year. And I thought, that's such a shame that we used to grow these lovely flowers and now they've gone. People enjoy local food, and why not grow and enjoy lovely local flowers as well? So that kind of was my light bulb moment watching that program. And I thought, right, I'm going to crack on and I'm going to dig. So that was the start.
Gosh, Catherine, did you just go then from selling at the gate to then actually selling to florists and doing weddings and everything else?
Yeah, it kind of evolved, not through me kind of it just kind of happened. So I started growing flowers and just putting a few jars at the garden gate and people like them. And then I thought, oh, I'll just leaflet drop locally, just round our local streets to tell them about the stall. And a lady came to my garden one day and she said, oh, I really like your flowers on the stall. I'm getting married. Would you do my wedding flowers? And it was one of those moments you either said yes or no, and I didn't really know what to do. And she said, oh, I don't really want much. I just want a bouquet and maybe a buttonhole. And she kind of talked me around thinking, okay, maybe this is achievable. And it was the following year. And I thought, oh, well, that's lots of time to practice and learn. So I said yes. And then she happened to be marrying somebody whose parents owned an estate that they'd just taken on and they wanted to develop weddings. And so I became their grower for weddings. And then it kind of just evolved from there. So yeah, it was kind of right place, right time.
Did you face any challenges along the way?
Oh, yes.
I assume the weather probably is the biggest one, but...
Well, not the only one. So when I first started, I was quite naive. I had cracked on digging and planting and things without any experience. And we live quite near the high school. The high school sits at the top of our road. And there's lovely playing fields that rabbits live on. And they would come down our street at night time and you could see them just having a think, which garden are we going to go and get our evening snack of tonight? And they'd kind of branch off in their different directions. And so when I first started growing flowers, we had no fencing. I would plant out my flowers and the next day I would go out and it was as if I'd never planted anything at all. The seedlings were just completely gone. So that was a bit of a learning curve. We needed some fencing. So my husband's very helpful, very DIY person, and he put some fencing up for me and we buried it under the ground because we knew that they can tunnel. But it didn't work. I didn't realize that rabbits can kind of fly.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. My heart is sinking for you as you're telling us this story. It's awful, really.
But it's funny. It's better than Wallace and Gromit, isn't it?
Gosh, yeah.
And sailed over the top of fencing. So then we increased the height, and after that we were fine. We were away. So yeah, that was
flying rabbits in Scotland. Yeah, it's news breaking, isn't it?
Whatever next. And then there's the weather. The weather is a huge one. And you can't predict it either. You don't know whether you're going to get snow or minus 15 degrees over winter or wind and I had this wedding that I had and it was May and the bride was going to get married on the beach barefoot. It was going to be absolutely lovely. And I was so chuffed because it was in those early days when I just started doing weddings and I'd grown all these lovely tulips. I was so chuffed. And I wasn't able to cut them at that stage. It was too early. So I had nice low tunnels over them, just protecting them with frost cloth. And I was feeding the girls dinner and we were just sitting down and the snow just started falling. And it just kept going and going. So in the end, I had to abandon dinner and I had to go out and shovel all the snow off the tunnels because it was so heavy. It was going to be crushing all these flowers. So, and then that bride did, a few days later, get married on the beach because at that time of year, the weather just changes. It was lovely. It was sunny.
2 seasons in 1 week. That's incredible. When's your last frost then? If it was snowing then?
It can be as late as May into May.
Gosh,
so I never plant dahlias out until that first week in June because I'm just never quite sure. You might get caught out at the last minute. So,
and when do your frost start again?
That is totally variable. This year we had an early one in September, mid-September.
Yeah, we lost things.
Some years it's lucky and you can get up to November. So you just don't know.
You know, we have these ideals, don't we? And the difficulty that we've got is that it's not truthful, because when you get the weather like we get, like you get, you are fighting it. It is every moment of every day. You seem to be looking at the weather forecast. You've always got your happy app on, haven't you,
Yes,
Julia?
yes. I've got a phone, and my phone always says it's going to be sunny, but then it never is.
And that's the difficulty. Then when we get the sun, we're not happy, because then we've got to be out there watering. We've got to do it before they get too hot. When it's too cold, I feel like Goldilocks. It's either too hot, too cold, or not enough of anything.
One thing I'm curious about, Catherine, is having watched your videos, you have got the most beautiful greenhouse. I mean, we are greenhouse obsessives. In fact, if there was a support group for us, we would join it, because we are known locally for our obsession with greenhouses. We like to go around and dismantle old ones and put up new ones. We're 28 greenhouses in, but when we saw your video, we did get greenhouse envy. Why a greenhouse rather than a polytunnel?
Well, we're a listed building and we live in a conservation area, so I'd never be able to put a polytunnel up in town. So when we were getting to the stage where we thought we might get a greenhouse, people kept telling me, go for the biggest one that you possibly can, because it'll never be big enough. So we kind of had this space in the semicircular hedge that looked perfect, and we just thought, right, we're going to fill it. And so we did get the biggest one that we wanted to get. And then we thought, well, we'll save a little bit of money by building it ourselves, which wasn't the cleverest idea. So my husband's parents came over for the weekend, and we spent lots of time trying to get it up as much as we possibly could. And we didn't quite get there. I think we had 3 sides up, maybe a little bit more. And then had to leave it because it was Monday and a work day, and it collapsed because there was a storm and the whole thing smashed. So it wasn't the best start. And then after that, we managed to get some new pieces and put it back together. But we did get help building it that time. We gave in and got the experts in.
Gosh, that's incredible. What size is it?
I can't remember exactly. I think it's 16 foot by about 10 foot. I think it is big.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, you know our number now, though.
Yeah,
so
if we'd have been closer, we'd have come round. Yeah.
Yeah, we've never done one in Scotland.
No.
I wonder if the instructions are different.
No, I think they'll be the same. Yeah, we work to instructions anyway. We make it up as we go along. But actually, we've never had one fall down, and we've never lost any glass. So that's good. But we do look at your videos, and I'm like, why has she not got a polytunnel? But I do think it is beautiful, your greenhouse. So
tell us about your successes then, because I think we can sit here miserable about the weather and talk about the weather forever. No. But tell us about your successes, because it sounds just amazing.
Well, the weddings for me are definitely one of my successes, because it was something I never dreamed I could do. And I found this whole creative side to myself that I didn't even know existed. I was science. I was working in hospitals and things before. I didn't know I could do this. So that was really exciting, to be part of people's special days and things, and just to use really unusual flowers and get everybody talking about the flowers. And that's been really nice. And the YouTube channel has grown arms and legs too from what I thought it was going to do. So that's been really successful as well. And I didn't know anything about doing a video, and I didn't know how to upload one to YouTube. That was another experiment I just started, and it worked. So
that's brilliant. What made you decide to do the YouTube channel? Because I think what you do is brilliant, and it really kind of goes over specific varieties of flowers. And I love the way that you do it. But I did notice you're obviously in control of the video, or do you set it to one side and your husband does the videoing?
Yeah, no, I kind of just hook it up. I've got like one of those little tripod things, and I hook it on different bits of the garden fence posts or on the greenhouse, so it's never done particularly well, I wouldn't think, but it's just my style. And I started it because I was going to do workshops, so I kind of done weddings, and I'd got flowers for florists and retail and things, but people were starting to ask me if I would do some teaching and things, and I did a little bit of one-to-one, and then I had the greenhouse, and I thought I finally got the space that I could have people round, and I had it all planned out. And then we had COVID, and you couldn't have people face to face anymore. So I can't remember who it was, whether it was my husband or one of the kids suggested, oh, you could film yourself, Mum. And I thought, okay, we'll give it a go. And that's how it started.
Brilliant. And it works.
It does work. Brilliant. Yeah. And do you have people contact you from all over the world?
Yeah, and that's what I love. It's so exciting. And everybody's growing these lovely flowers, but they're doing it in different time zones, or they've got different climates and different things that they've tried out. I love it. I love hearing from people
I suppose I want to pick your brain. What kind of flowers do you think grow well in slightly damp, cooler conditions, that perennials maybe, and also annuals that we can be looking at getting in the garden?
Yeah, I definitely have ones that are more successful than others. And perennials is something that I have learned are so useful. So if you're ever starting out in some good perennials, things like Astilbe and Astrantia do really well for me because they quite like that damp, cooler climate and things. So they're fantastic. And one of my favorite ever perennials is Ranunculus Pleno. It's just lovely little dainty white flowers and it branches and it's gorgeous and I love it. And that does really well too. Annual wise, there's loads of different ones, but the hardy annuals are the ones that do best for me. So things like your cornflowers, your corncockles, salvia and things, they do all brilliantly. Nigella, Phacelia. It's more traditionally grown as a green manure, but actually it's the most fantastic, unusual cut flower. I love it.
I've said that.
Yeah.
So they're really good. Things that I don't do so well with are annuals like zinnias and things like that. I try every year and I just don't think we've got the climate here for that. I think they like the heat. They like a good amount of sunshine and I just don't think I get it.
If you were only allowed to grow one flower, what would it be?
Oh, that's too hard a question to ask. I love loads of flowers, but I think for me it has to be sweet peas because I just love the scent. If you're going to grow locally grown flowers, the thing that they're missing if they're imports is that scent and things, and I just love them. So that's my favourite.
There are very few people that can turn away saying, I don't like the smell of those.
No, you can't go past them. They're brilliant.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, Catherine. Go along to Catherine's YouTube channel because really it was a great place to start for me to follow all the different flowers along the way.
So if people want to actually tune in and listen and watch and all the rest of it, how do they find you?
So my name is Cloudberry Flowers, and that's my business name.
Cloudberry?
Cloudberry, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called that because that's the county flower of Peeblesshire where I live, which I didn't know. So when I came across that, I thought, oh, that's a nice name. So that's why it's called that. And yeah, you can look me up on YouTube. If you look up Cloudberry Flowers, you'll find me there.
Thanks ever so much.
Oh.
And we will keep in touch with you. And Julia will continue to stalk you. It's not right.
Don't stalk you. I watch what you do. And
what she's doing.
Yeah, because I've learnt a lot from Catherine, actually. Yeah. I'm going ranunculus at the moment. Yeah, Elaine says, are the multiples ranunculi?
Oh, I don't know. I just say ranunculus.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
So since this is the F episode, the F of flowers, we've got more flowers, haven't we? And I see it's almost like we're holding these like packs
You know
of
what?
cards.
And I don't believe I did this,
Yes.
and this is purely coincidental, but I've had to use my fingers to do
Yes.
this. But A, B, C, D, E, F, episode 6, and it is the F one.
Oh,
Get me.
Whoa.
Anyway.
So can we do everything beginning with G next time?
No.
We could do.
We
It's
could.
something to do with the garden.
We're going to struggle when we get to Z, aren't we?
Green. Everything will be green. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're both
Green for
clutching
salad.
loads of seeds, aren't we, at the moment? We're almost holding them in your hand, almost like...
Pick a card, any card.
Yeah.
Are you a magician?
Yeah,
Could
so
be.
well, actually we're going to play Cosmos Snap, aren't we, Elaine? Because we've both been out and we love Cosmos. They are beautiful, delicate flowers that look stunning on the plot. They look interesting in an arrangement, I think. And we both love them, but there are so many varieties that we'd be lucky actually if we get a matching pair here, Elaine, I think.
Oh, go on, let's try.
I think
Go
so.
on then,
Yeah, what have you got?
Well, I've got one called Versailles Blush.
What?
Exactly.
Versailles?
Versailles.
Versailles, yeah, okay.
Versailles Blush. Have you got that one?
No.
No. I've got one called Double Click Snow Puff.
Oh, I've had that before.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
but you've
I've
not
had
got
that.
it
No,
now,
not this
right?
one,
I've
no.
got one called Pink Mosaic.
No.
I've got a Fizzy Rose Picote.
No.
No. I've got Velouette.
Is that veloute?
What we can spot here is the difference between somebody who's been to a very, very posh restaurant with a French chef and somebody who's bought a load of Cosmos seeds.
And I've got someone called Polydor Mix.
Right, well, I've not. I've got Sensation mix,
Yeah.
Seashells mixed,
Yeah.
because they're pink through to purple to white. And
Yeah.
then I've got Purity, which is white and which I've had before.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what I'm going to plant.
Yeah.
Now, we've done these loads of times before. And
Yeah.
how easy peasy are these, Julia?
These are so easy to grow. They get going really quickly, using exactly the same method as you spoke about
Okay.
earlier with the marigold seeds. So
Yeah.
multi-purpose compost in a seed tray,
Yeah.
almost up to the top. Scatter the seeds over the top, giving space between the seeds, and then a light covering of more compost. Either water over the top or drop them in a bath of water, and then just set them to go, and they'll soon pop through. And then what we do, we pop them into cell trays of 6 once they are plants, and then we grow them on before we put them out. Now, I actually pinch them out, and it's something I learnt to do last year, and it was watching Caroline who I saw this, because I wanted more flowers, and so I learnt how to pinch out, and I have to say it worked really well.
Okay, so you were happy with yours. I'm always happy with mine. I love them because it does throw a splash of colour across
Oh,
the
Eric.
allotment.
It's like he wants to disturb everybody, isn't it? For those of you who don't know, Eric's currently riding the tractor.
Yeah, we are a big site here in Ashbourne Road where we are, and in Derby, and it's 9.5 acres. So if you've got quite something heavy to carry, and Eric, to be fair, he's 80, he's now on a tractor just moving things around site.
And disturbing Gareth. Right then, well, before we finish, I also
yeah.
wanted to talk about these.
What are they?
How do you say it?
Acrocalymium. It's
You've been
actually known
rehearsing
as
that.
it's also known as a straw flower.
Oh.
Now, I grew these last year, and it's years since I've done them. But I tell you what, these again are easy peasy lemon squeezy. The good thing about them is they look lovely on the plot. They're easy to grow, and the other thing is, as a dried cut flower, beautiful. So why not give them a go as well? And again, exactly the same method. Multi-purpose compost, scatter some seeds on the top, cover them, water them, label them, don't forget that. And these have taken 2 weeks to get to that stage, so we're actually now onto the first set of true leaves, and I would say that they're looking all right.
They look fabulous, Elaine.
Main thing is that we can give them away, Julia,
Yes,
as we
we
go
can.
out and about on our tours.
Yes, we can. And just as I'm winding up this episode, I'm looking over your shoulder, Elaine, at the big patch of rhubarb up there, and I'm thinking, now is the time I can be taking some rhubarb home and having a crumble. So that's what I'm going to be getting up to after we finish this
Is that
recording.
F for food?
F for food.
So you've moved F from
Well, yeah,
flowers, F
yeah.
for food.
Well,
okay, then.
yeah, anyway. Thanks for listening to us. We've enjoyed your company today. We've enjoyed sitting in the sunshine and eating a cake that Gareth has bought us to celebrate 51,000 listens.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I bet it's somebody who knows us who's just sitting there playing it all the time.
Is it you?
No.
On repeat.
And the other thing is that next time, what we're going to be talking about.
Well, we're talking about all our favourite things. It's tomatoes, cucumbers, and let's talk about melons.
And anything else that we can get in the salad?
I was going to say,
Spring
she,
onions.
She
Spring
actually
onions,
said
eh?
originally that
They're
it was
just-
going to be all of our favourite things. I like chocolate.
Well, we can't grow chocolate, but we can bring
We can,
some.
but we can't do it here. Climate's not right.
Okay.
No.
So it's not all our favourite things.
Some of our
I'll bring
favourite
chocolate
things.
next week, Elaine.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.